an old professor, but I have a theory that a lot of the doldrums that we're in economically now are related to this trepidation that people have about future taxation, healthcare costs. A lot of the government policy now, I think, is really creating problems for the economy. I know you've talked to a lot of small business people. Can you reflect on that and maybe some of the things we can do to kind of put a little more enthusiasm? I think that hopefully the results on November 2nd will give us some enthusiasm. But just what have you heard?
And I apologize for whatever I got going on. No, you're absolutely right. As I've traveled all throughout the district, this is the common thread that runs through it. Whether I'm talking to a banker, whether I'm talking to a small business owner, anyway, whatever the type of business it may be, whatever the person might be selling, whatever the person, doctor's offices, whatever it may be, the same common thread runs through it, and that is we're not hiring because we don't know what the federal government is going to do to us by bringing on new employees. So I think that you hit the nail on the head, and I think come November 2nd, when we take back the U.S. House of Representatives, when we win back the majority, there is going to be a change immediately in people's mindsets as it relates to what they can do to grow their businesses, because this cloud of uncertainty will be lifted. People will truly feel that now that we have the numbers, we can repeal the job-killing legislation that is keeping so many people from hiring. So you're exactly right, and again, I mean, I have learned so much just from talking. I mean, here you're sitting to a food franchise owner who is talking about healthcare. It's not just the doctors. It's not just the doctor's offices closing their doors, no longer accepting Medicare, downsizing. It's the small businesses saying, we're not building anymore. We're not hiring anymore. Not until we know. We can't make that kind of investment of dollars until we have some kind of assurance. So, again, I think we've got a good shot November 2nd, and we need to take it. And look, I'm so impressed by the number of you who are here. You care, and you all have email accounts. You all have 10 telephone numbers you can call. We have got to get out the vote on November 2nd so we can take back this house. Sorry, I apologize. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir.
What is your stance on NAFTA?
On NAFTA. Well, as I have traveled around, particularly in some of the really southern areas of our district, I hear often that people feel as though all of the manufacturing jobs that we had in Alabama are now gone because of the signing of NAFTA. What I would say is this. We've got to make ourselves more competitive to bring those jobs that we've lost overseas back. We've got to. And, you know, I was read in the paper about Governor Riley and some of at the governor's conference where they were trying to open some doors. We've got to make ourselves more competitive. Now, we've been able to attract industry into the state because of our low utility bills. You'll hear Twinkle Kavanaugh talk about that when she talks about cap and tax. But when it comes to trade agreements, we need to make sure that we are opening doors. And every time those carriers leave the Port of Mobile, they better be as full as they are when they come back. And that's what we need, our leadership, both locally in our state and both nationally, to be doing everything that we can to make our job market here as competitive as we can in order to attract those jobs back to Alabama. And I think we can. I think there's ways that we can do it. Yes, sir.
Your thoughts on immigration and closing the border?
Yes, sir. I have some personal experience with the immigration issue because on the Montgomery City Council in 2008, I chaired a committee on immigration, And we ultimately, 2007, 2008, we ultimately passed a local ordinance in Montgomery that says, if you as a business owner knowingly harbor illegals, knowingly harbor illegal aliens, then we hold the authority to take away your license to do business in the city of Montgomery. We passed that ordinance. It has not been challenged in the courts, and quite frankly, a portion of the Arizona law is almost a mirror image of what we already passed in Montgomery. I support the governor of Arizona. I support their state representatives. Our federal government has failed us when it comes to immigration. They passed the Immigration and Nationality Act and put in there a preemptive clause and said, we want to be the sole enforcers of this law, and they've done nothing to enforce it.
That's right.
So, two things. Here's my answer. And it's going to take strong political will from both sides of the aisle to make it happen. And we need leadership in the White House to make that happen. Secure the border. Whatever we got to do, virtual fence, real fence, increase border patrol, National Guard troops, we have got to secure that border. It is a national security threat to this country. Let me just say this. I read recently where 17% of those crossing Arizona's southern border already have a felony arrest record in the United States of America. The corruption that is taking place in Mexico's military and their drug cartel is now infiltrating our border patrol. This is a frightening. You know, a lot of those folks crossing that southern border aren't necessarily from those southern countries. They're coming from all over the world and coming across our southern border into the United States. It is a national security threat. Secure the border. Number two, enforce the law we have. And let me say this. I will not, as your representative, ever support any law that has the mention of the word amnesty or even the idea of amnesty contained therein.
I have a couple of issues. The one that Mr. Terrell just asked about NAFTA, the best way to fix that problem is to get the regulatory people off the working people's back.
I agree. Amen to that.
Heavily regulatory society or business climate that it's impossible to do business. So that's why we're losing our plans to go overseas.
Right.
Any smart business person knows they're going to go where the money's the cheapest, or the labor is the cheapest.
Right.
And so if they can't function in this society with the regulatory environment that they're put under, then they're going to go somewhere else. And it doesn't take rocket science to figure that out. My other issue I have is with 554 or 4,500, the number is people in the House and Congress that can opt out or not be required to have Obamacare.
Right.
That do not have Social Security because it's not good enough for them.
Right.
And when Galveston municipality opted out in '83, I believe it was, they said, uh-oh, and shut that loophole for Social Security.
Right.
Because they were afraid that other states would follow. Now, Galveston has got a fabulous retirement program for their municipal employees. And it's their money. So when somebody dies, it isn't a $255 check, token check from the government. They get their money back because it's their money. We need to reform Social Security in this country in a big way. But anytime somebody mentions it, then the fear mongers come out and start scaring the senior citizens that they're going to lose Social Security. Well, hello, you already lost it. It's in the general fund. So I mean, how do you operate on these issues?
Right. All right, first, going back to NAFTA and what we're talking about the highly regulated. Again, I'm going to borrow from my friend Senator Sessions because I just heard him tell the story, but it's a great illustration.